Hello everybody, the Nameless Narcissist here once again, a simple man diagnosed with NPD, giving the facts of narcissistic personality disorder and things that go on in my head. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, but keep in mind, I am no clinician. I can only speak to my own experiences and the research that I read. Alright everybody, so Donald Trump, ooh, this is going to be a controversial one. I want to clarify before I even start this that there is no political statement in this whatsoever. I do not look at things through the lens of a political landscape. I look at it through the lens of mental illness and how we can treat it and realistic struggles that people have due to mental illness. I have no opinions on Donald Trump. I have no opinions on anything. I'm a narcissist. I say whatever makes me look the most smart and deep, right? So, no, this is nothing to do with politics. I just think that this highlights a very important cultural issue that we have around mental illness. Obviously, a lot of people describe Donald Trump as, a narcissist, right? And to some degree, he does show a lot of traits that we would consider narcissistic. Some would argue to the point of pathology, obviously. But we forget a very important part about pathology, the personal suffering that's involved in pathology. You can exhibit every single trait of some disorder, and if you aren't suffering or it's not impairing your life, how is that a mental disorder? Right? We don't have the DSM to taxonomize people who are just assholes. That'd be fucking awesome, though. I really wish that we did do that, because that'd be cool. But no, that is not what the purpose is. It's to treat people who are suffering and who are mentally ill. Donald Trump, on the other hand, is a billionaire. He was president of the United States. Whether you think that was the right choice or not, it's a fact that happened. Clearly, his life is not being impacted too negatively by his narcissistic traits. And to support what I'm saying, I actually found an article written by somebody who helped write the DSM. The title is, I helped write the manual for diagnosing mental illnesses, the DSM-5, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. Here's why Donald Trump doesn't meet the criteria. My long experience with psychiatric diagnosis has taught me a recurring and painful lesson. Anything can be misused in the DSM and will be misused, especially when there is an external, non-clinical reward for doing so. We decided to include narcissistic personality disorder in the DSM-3 40 years ago purely for clinical reasons. We never imagined it would be used as ammunition in today's political warfare. Right? These are not categories to classify abusers. They're not categories to classify people who are going to abuse power. They're not categories to say, oh, this person is unfit for office. These are people who are suffering. That's the purpose of these disorders. Trump is an undisputed poster boy for narcissism. He demonstrates in pure every single symptom described in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, DSM in quotes. Criteria for narcissistic personality disorder, which I wrote in 1978. But lots of successful people are extremely narcissistic without being mentally ill. Think most celebrities, many politicians, and a fair percentage of writers, artists, lawyers, doctors, and professionals. To qualify for narcissistic personality disorder, individual's selfish, unempathetic treating must be accompanied by significant distress or impairment. Trump certainly causes severe distress and impairment in others, but his narcissism doesn't seem to affect him in that way. Right? I cannot think of one way that Donald Trump as a person is suffering. I mean, a lot of people dislike him, but other than that, I guess and that would cause me a lot of personal distress, but it doesn't seem to cause him much. This is, I think they do sum this up really well, and you might be asking, okay, where in DSM does it say that, they have to have this personal suffering in order for it to be a mental disorder? I will get to that soon. I'm just going to read one more passage that I think is important from this article. Buried in the noisy debate about Trump's mental health is a misinformed and noxious assumption that mental illness somehow automatically disqualifies someone for a high leadership position. If this were policy, Abraham Lincoln and Winston Churchill both would have been lost to history due to their battles with depression. This is true, right? Why is it that we say Trump is a narcissist and therefore he shouldn't be president? This does not matter. This is not relevant to somebody. Well, it can be relevant if it's directly impacting their policies. Sure, maybe. But imagine if I were to say, well, that person's autistic, therefore their autism may be impacting their capacity to lead a nation. And it might, right? But we have to look at it from their actual actions as a president, not from the lens of their mental disorder. We can point out things that somebody like Trump does that are narcissistic, that are negatively impacting the presidency, without saying that it's his narcissism that is disqualifying him from office. It's not his narcissism, it's how he's handling it. And also, I want to point out, if I ever run for president, you guys better vote for me. I'm joking. For the most part, not really. Anyways, but you might be wondering, okay, where in the DSM does it? First of all, in the DSM, it does state that you do have to have your own clinically significant distress in order to be diagnosed at all. That's for the, all of personality disorders. Well, not personality disorders, all of the DSM. But there are also these things called general personality disorder, which is the criteria that every person that has a personality disorder also has to meet that is outside of the 9 that are in narcissism, right? It basically, there's a couple criteria that are A through F, and it says, criteria A is an enduring pattern of inner experience and behavior that deviates markedly from the expectations of the individual's culture. This pattern is manifested in 2 or more of the following: cognition, affectivity, interpersonal functioning, and impulse control. So, sure, maybe you could say Trump fits those, whatever, who cares? But B, enduring pattern is inflexible and pervasive across a broad range of personal and social situations. This is another reason that it's very, very reckless to diagnose celebrities or people in leadership positions as narcissists. We don't know we don't know all of their social situations. We only see them in public eye. What if Donald Trump is only acting like a narcissist in the public eye or when he's in this leadership position? What if he goes home and he's the most mellow-mannered person ever? What if he acts like autistically when he's alone? What if he acts like a borderline? We have no idea. We cannot say whether or not that these behaviors are all pervasive with him. C, the enduring pattern leads to a clinically significant distress or impairment in social, occupational, or other important areas of functioning. See, and that's the key. That's the key right there. He's not distressed, and I do not see any impairment in his social, occupational, or important areas of functioning. I think it's hard for you to be a, president or to be a billionaire and to have impairments in your life like that. I guess you could say maybe his family life is in shambles, maybe, right? But even then, he would have to be distressed by the fact that it was in shambles. D, the pattern is stable and of a long duration, and its onset can be traced back to at least adolescence or early adulthood. And we have no way of saying that. The enduring pattern is not better explained as a manifestation or consequence of another mental disorder. No way of knowing. The enduring pattern is not attributable to the physiological effects of the substance. So yes, so all of those are also necessary to diagnose a mental disorder, personality disorder, not just the criteria that we all know and love of narcissism. So again, I want to go back and say that this does highlight a big issue. We should be talking about mental illness in terms of the people that it affects and how we can help these people who are being affected by these mental illnesses, right? And I do talk about how about the people that narcissists are hurting. Sure, that's also an important topic. But at the same time, the only way to really address that issue at its core is to treat narcissists as people who are mentally ill and get them into treatment. If you guys really want to know a president who probably had narcissistic personality disorder, go look at Lyndon B. Johnson. He had very clear clinical distress. He would cry whenever he was alone because he could not handle his own insecurity. He would need constant reassurance. He would constantly drink, eat, and sleep around. I don't remember exactly. And as his aide said, as if to fill up a void in him. And I won't even encourage looking at Lyndon B. Johnson and being like, well, he was a narcissist, so therefore his presidency was bad. That's why his presidency was bad. It probably wasn't. It was probably just pressures of the political landscape at the time. His narcissism probably elevated him to that position to some degree. But his policies, if I'm a narcissist, I'm doing what's going to make me goddamn popular. So just like any politician, I am just going to be acting by the pressures that the public is putting on me so I can stay in office. Just like every other politician. Narcissism is not relevant in the political sphere. If they do have narcissistic personality disorder, we should address that out of a place of genuine concern, not of a place of, well, this is why my opponent is wrong. And again, I have no opinion politically on Donald Trump. I don't care. I really do not. I am only passionate about the effects that stigmatizing mental illness has by saying Donald Trump is a narcissist, right? Because it's so clear. We're not saying Donald Trump is mentally ill. We're saying that he is an asshole. And you can make the argument, oh, when we call him a narcissist, I mean, some people straight up say narcissistic personality disorder and say that's a reason they shouldn't, but some people just say he's a narcissist. Everybody knows that when you call somebody a narcissist, you're not saying, oh, that guy has narcissistic traits. No, you're calling him, you're saying that person has a narcissistic personality disorder. You're being dishonest with yourself if you're saying that, if you're like not saying that. When I say somebody's a narcissist, I am talking about narcissistic personality disorder. Because, I'm sorry, narcissist and narcissistic personality disorder are inseparable. There's no distinction in public dialogue unless you specify every time that you mention it. Well, I'm not saying he has narcissistic personality disorder, but I think he's a narcissist because he has narcissistic traits. You have to clarify that every single time if you are genuinely going to convince me that you genuinely mean narcissistic traits and not the full-blown pathology. Anyways, but yeah, that's my little rant. Stop using narcissism to discredit people. It's not helpful to anybody. Anyways, y'all have a good day. Take your fucking meds, please.